Hello again, it is Hyperion and we're back in No Man's Sky, but I'm gonna do something a little differently this time. Now, all of my videos of No Man's Sky lately have been bug reports, things that I've gone and found that were not working appropriately after the new update, Atlas Rises. And, I'm kind of getting a little tired of that. Plus, I've reported so many, and I know so many are already known, so I wanted to try to do something a little bit more constructive and less complainy. And that is that I wanted to just touch on several of the suggestions I want to make for future updates that I think would improve the game. These aren't things that are like broken with the game, more of expanding on what already exists and how to make the game more fun. Now, I was going to do this in a single video as a top 10 list, but after doing just a few attempts at it, I realized that this is going to have to be broken up into several parts, or else it'll be a 4-hour video. But yeah, I thought this would be fun to talk about not only some ideas that could be added to the game later in a bigger patch, but, ways to do it. That way I could get some public opinion on it, and maybe we could get these messages out there and get them working on it. Now, these things are going to be big changes that we probably, even if they do watch the video and agree with me, they're not going to see that come out for a while. It would require a lot of coding, but this first one I don't think would require too much. It would be a big change to the game, and I think it could really benefit the game, but it still probably would take a while. So let's go ahead and call my freighter here, and we're going to use it as an example. And what my first suggestion was, and I've already suggested this to them before, but now I wanted to do it in video format, is freighter battles. Now, we know that freighter battles already exist in the game. You fly into a solar system, and the freighter is under attack, and you kill 5 pirates, and you save the day. I'm not talking about saving a freighter. I'm talking about taking a freighter down. Now, this mechanic is already in the game, but actually, a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know how much goes into battling a freighter, because it's not something you're very much encouraged to do. In fact, early on in the game, it was pitched that you could be a pirate as one of your jobs, and the way that you would do that is you could attack freighters, and as you can see, they have these canisters on them, and that canister is full of thamium. And yes, this is my own freighter, but that's not my thamium. That's just the canisters are randomly generated. And I'll get into that in a little bit as well, but the first thing I wanted to talk about is you can destroy those containers and take the ingredients, and that will infuriate the freighter. They will call sentinels on you. The landing pad will go red alert, and you won't be able to land on it, and that will be that. Now, here's why being a pirate is in no way advantageous to the game, because after the vanilla update, when they said that you could be a pirate, it was okay, but it wasn't that fun because most freighters could take you down pretty easily. Later, they updated things and made it a little bit more in-depth, but they also added I don't know the word. This thing. Hold on, I'll just pull it up. They added, I think it's in Journey now. They've moved this all around. There. Life form friendship, so standing is what they added, and your standing matters because when you go into a shop for, say, Gek, which is quite important because that is where you buy a lot of the upgrades to your weapons and systems. But if you are of a low standing with the Gek, you can't buy anything. So pissing them off is not advantageous at all. In fact, it's quite detrimental. So going around attacking their freighters is not a good idea. It could be fun, but you'll be locked out of certain things. Now, yes, you can regain that trust, but it's a lot of work. So what I think would be simpler is to merely make bad freighters. All the freighters you come across in the galaxies and the solar systems around you, like these ones that just warped in right now, this is a great example, are good guys, and they're all good with the standing of the Gek in this solar system. So if I attack them, being in a Gek solar system, I will lose Gek points. But we're going to go ahead and fly over and check these out. And I've already stated that I'm unhappy with the fact that freighters like this that warp in from the solar system are of lower quality than the freighters that you encounter in space battles, and so therefore it's never worth buying these. But it's unfortunate because there's really only two styles of freighter: the Star Destroyer style freighter like I have, and another one that looks like a giant thing from EVE Online. And I'm about to get into a battle, and I kind of figured this was gonna happen. It's not intentional, but I might skip through it, or we might just go ahead and keep battling here. But I will gain notoriety points for taking out these pirates. But what I think would be cool is if one of these freighters warped in with them. Let me turn the audio down real quick. There, hopefully that's not as loud. But anyways, what if a freighter warped in with them as well, and you had to take out that freighter on top of the pirates themselves? I think that would be much more dynamic and much more interesting and add a lot more levels of gameplay, plus give you a reason to actually engage freighters. Now, I was going to talk more about what you can do with freighters, but of course this happened, so I'm going to go ahead and keep battling them. And I can't seem to get onto that reticle to get a good shot off. And that's another complaint I've made a couple times in several of my videos. It just needs a little fine-tuning, but we're not going to talk about bugs in this game. So let's continue on. Alright, finally getting some hits on this guy. And let's use some rockets on this one. Oh, or let's not, because I completely missed. Alright, those pirates are defeated. Now, what I would think would be cool is if maybe, let's say, for example, this freighter warped in with them and it was shooting at me. Now, one of the things you might not realize you can do with a freighter is you can actually destroy their turrets. And if you destroy all their turrets, they are left defenseless. Now, again, doing this will call sentinels and you'll lose credibility with the species, but it's something you could do. And if you want to do it, you can do it after you've unlocked everything, but based on some of my previous videos where I've complained it's nearly impossible to unlock everything, you're not going to get the chance to do that for a long time. But you could say that you could go ahead and destroy these turrets and leave their freighter defenseless. Now, I don't know if there's a mechanic to actually destroy a freighter. I've never tried it and probably won't ever. But let's go over to this one where it has a landing platform. Now, this one's a bit beefier. And it has two turrets right there, and it might have more on the bottom. But what I think would be interesting is, since you know that sometimes you can get locked out of a freighter, the landing platform will go red and you can't land on it. What they could do is add maybe a shield generator, something right here on top of the cockpit, some device that has a high health. Oops, I'm landing on it. Has high health. Has a lot of shielding, and it takes a while to take down. But while you're taking it down, you're being blasted by its turrets. So maybe you could go ahead and blast all of its turrets until it is defenseless, and then you have plenty of time to take out the shield generator. And once you have taken out the shield generator, the hangar will open, and you can land on the freighter and talk to the captain. Oh my goodness, sorry. Talk to the captain and maybe liberate the freighter from the pirates. And actually, we'll just do that now. So let's say I took down the shield generator, the hangar open. Now I can safely land on the freighter, which belongs to the pirates I have also probably killed. And now I can run up and talk to the commander. And the commander, instead of just offering to sell me the freighter, might offer a bribe or something along those lines, similar to a reward from the saving a freighter missions. But he could give me a bribe or something, and or offer to let me liberate the freighter, which is the same as buying the freighter, only works more like salvaging freighters, where instead of buying a brand new one, you buy a damaged one because you destroyed a good portion of it. So you would go in here to offer to buy the freighter and possibly get it for free, or at least for cheap, just like salvaging a ship, but all the slots are broken and in need of repairs, and maybe the warp drive is broken and in need of repairs because you've destroyed many parts on it. So that would be a really dynamic aspect to the game, and something that uses a mechanic that's already in the game, but is currently underutilized as it is not advantageous to take advantage of it. Another option on this, if this mechanic was added, is to also have it so that when you enter space battles, it might actually be two freighters going after it, and one of the freighters will have the same red engines. As you can see, all these freighters have blue engines, and when you come across pirates, they have red engines to differentiate themselves from friendly fighters. The freighters could have those same red engines, and you could decide that that is in fact a enemy freighter. And if you really want to get into pirating into the game, maybe it would be nice for them to add some solar systems that are pirate controlled. But that's a different topic altogether. But I think it would be cool to have space battles of two freighters going at it. And it could be these big freighters here. These could be a real challenge, much like my personal freighter here. Because as you can see, there are turrets all over this thing. There's some there, and there, and there, and I can actually destroy the turrets of my own freighter, and it does anger them, but I'm not going to do it because I don't know if there's any disadvantage to it, and I don't want to risk it. But you can destroy the turrets, and you can destroy the canisters, and I have never tried that, actually. It might be something worth testing out to see if that's a kind of an exploit to get free stuff, because there's no nanite clusters in my freighter, so those storage containers are full of whatever. They're not my nanites, so I wonder if I could gain more nanites by destroying my own canisters. But another thing on this note, I think it would also be interesting to see your freighter see a little bit more action, because I have this massive freighter with umpteen million guns on it. Actually, it looks like 6 guns, so I exaggerated a little bit, but it would be nice to see it get a little action. And what I mean by that is if the freighter was to get attacked by pirates itself, just every now and then you get an alert saying that pirates are attacking your freighter if it is in the solar system you're in, or maybe in another solar system if you left it behind, and you have to return to that solar system. Now, they'd have to be careful with this, because if anybody who's played the latest Fallout game knows, going back to save your settlement every 5 minutes can get quite annoying. But it could be an interesting mechanic that could happen once every now and then. Pirates don't just attack you, they attack your freighter and go after your canisters, and maybe even say that should they destroy a couple canisters, you risk losing some of the stuff you store in it. I know that could lead to a lot of complications, but it could also lead to some very dynamic and interesting gameplay. Lastly, on that note, if your freighter could in fact see some action, it would be really nice to see your freighter come into battle when you're inside of a regular space battle. Say, for instance, you warp into a galaxy and you're immediately greeted with a freighter under attack. Maybe it would be cool to turn around, call your freighter, and have it help join in the battle. So this is all mechanics that are already kind of in the game, but just not implemented in any sort of way. Your freighter has turrets, but they're never used because nothing ever attacks your freighter. Even if I'm attacked standing right here next to my freighter will not engage. So that would be an interesting dynamic to add. But the bigger thing of this video is just that there's so many ways that you can actually attack a freighter that are underutilized because it is not in your best interest to do so. You can't just sacrifice your friendliness to certain species, because as you'll see here, we're going to go ahead and land on this space station here. Boy, that ship is kind of pretty. I like it, but I don't need it. I've got enough haulers. But anyways, now that we've landed on this space station... Oh, I wanted to see... Alright. Now that we've landed on this space station, I can show you that there's a lot of disadvantages to not being on one of the three species side, and this is also an underutilized mechanic because I'm not a very big fan of the Viking. I don't think many are. They're too Klingon-like, and so we generally see them as kind of the bad guys of the three species. And yet, I would love to go to war with them if it wasn't for the fact that I needed stuff from them. And as you can see here, as I try to trade nanites for blueprints I already own, many of them will have a ranking. Well, you can't see it if you already own them, but if you can buy one, it'll actually tell you that you need a certain rank to buy it. And also, as you can see here, with the missions, you have to have a certain ranking and friendliness, a certain standing with the Gek. Right here, I have to be at least 5 to buy this or to take on this quest. So, again, there's not a lot of advantages to angering one of the three species. And so, at that, I would say maybe the pirates need to be seen as kind of a different species, a hodgepodge of all the other species, but a different species with its own standing. And with that, you could have pirate freighters that would be totally okay for you to attack and not lose standing with the species in each solar system. And that would let players finally get to utilize a lot of the mechanics that are already in freighters when it comes to attacking them. Because currently, I know quite a few people that still play this game. I knew of quite a few people that played this game extremely heavily when it came out, and I didn't know a single one of them that bothered to be a pirate in the game. So, yeah, that would be something I would really enjoy seeing. So, that's the first of this series of suggestions I would like to make to Hello Games for No Man's Sky, and options to improve upon their game that I would really love to see in the future. The near future, but hey, any future would be good. So thank you for watching, and this has been Hyperion. And yeah, keep looking out for the next video, and I'll come up with more. Bye-bye!